The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the QATV staff or board of directors. QATV, in compliance with FCC regulations, is prohibited from exercising control over the content of independent, member-produced public access programming.
Hi, welcome to the show, Constitution Then and Now. Tonight my guest is the president of the Policemen's Union of Quincy, Bruce TAIT, and Peter CURLEY.
Yes.
Are you with the union?
Yes, I'm the treasurer.
The treasurer of the union,
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk about some stuff, about the chief and other things about some of the stuff that's been in the news lately, so we'll just do a few things we got to do and then we'll get going.
Above the fruited plain, America, America, God shed His face on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Hi, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm sure you're going to get educated tonight. All right, my first question to you, Bruce, is why isn't that chief been suspended? Like all the other officers have been suspended.
It's an excellent question, Don, and I can tell you that I've been with the Quincy Police almost 15 years now, and every single member of the Quincy Police Department that's ever been accused of a crime in court, whether it's a clerk's hearing or an outright arrest, they've had their duty weapon taken, their license to carry firearms has been suspended, and they've been put on paid administrative leave pending the court outcome. So why the chief is still coming to work, still has his gun permit? It's just a slap in the face to every member of the police department.
Yeah, certainly is. And of course I've been following this very closely, naturally, but this is just totally outrageous. Something here in the Ledger tonight about two sergeants that had written the officer up for being in an accident, and I guess there was a piece in there that said that they didn't, if it was a fender bender or didn't need, maybe you know better than I would know, probably didn't need medical assistance or something like that, you just fill out the paperwork and check the license. Now it says in here, Crowley, as of last week, is going to make everybody start checking the license. But I don't take stock in a lot of stuff the Ledger says because the Ledger is foolish. I was talking to someone the other day, a very good friend of mine whose sister writes for the Ledger. She's one of the editorialists, and he told me straight out that they're in bed with failing. That's why he couldn't get anything done on the case that he had. And that's why the Ledger really wouldn't cover it. But even so, even if the sergeant wrote this guy up and didn't with the license, and I'm hard to figure this out because I really don't know what you do when you have an accident, what the procedures are. But again, and I'm probably going to say this 20 times tonight, the simple fact of the matter is, this man, Crowley, all right, he knew on Tuesday, sometime on Tuesday, that this gentleman, O'Shea was it? O'Brien, because O'Shea was the sergeant. Okay, he knew that the officer license had expired.
Yes.
Okay, how many times I've been stopped? I've been stopped twice in my life. Not for a suspended license, but for going fast by the state police. And when they pulled me over, they wanted to know, I didn't have the little sticker on the back of my license, my license plate. I had it up in my visor. One of them was like 6 months. It was like for 6 months. And all he said was, I was speeding, and he noticed that. And he says, he ran my thing. He knew the car was insured and everything like that. And I goes, yeah, I got it right up here. And he made me get out and put it on. I mean, the thing is, Bruce and Peter, the thing is that why didn't this guy just call this guy? You mean to tell me that Mr. Crowley couldn't have gotten a hold of you, or was he married, his wife maybe, or somebody made a phone call, left it on his phone or something else, don't drive the car. Does he live in Quincy?
He does.
Couldn't he send the cruiser over there to tell him, leave a note at the door, your license is suspended, hey, get it fixed, get it done? Or why couldn't he, and there's been plenty of talk about this, and not just with me and other people. I've sat in a couple of coffee shops and heard people talking about when it first happened. Why couldn't you just call the guy in and said, hey, you're behind the desk tonight. Get your license renewed. I mean, isn't that the sane and the thing to do?
Well, that's the key word, is sane and right thing to do. And I say this, I'm not trying to be funny, I say it in all seriousness. He's not stable. There's
Well, the
something wrong
lawyers,
with him.
your lawyer, even the lawyer says that. It says Crowley's behavior should be reviewed. The attorney for the union, the Quincy Police Patrolmen's Association, he has some type of agenda that is bizarre at best.
Yeah, and I like to make it clear, Don, that neither one of us are going to make any excuses for the police officer. He's the first to admit that he made a mistake.
He's human. He's human.
His license expired. He wasn't aware of it. As soon as he found out about it, the very next day, he got to the registry and renewed his license. So to me, that's a dead issue. He took his
Right.
punishment, he took his lumps, and that's the end of it. But for the chief of police to engage in this, it's like a Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote ambush, to try to set him up to be arrested. He actually wanted the sergeant to place a uniformed police officer in handcuffs and bring him back to the station. And the offense which Crowley ordered the sergeant to charge the officer with, it's unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle. For the purposes of the court, they call it a criminal complaint, but it's actually, you can't do any jail time. It's not really a crime, it's an arrestable civil infraction. The reason being, if somebody's wanted for murder out of state, they get stopped, I don't have a license. Well, we have to be able to take them into custody to get their fingerprints and everything else. But for him to do that is just, when I first heard about it, I could not believe it. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, again, and I'm probably going to say this 20,000 times tonight, all he had to do is the right thing.
That's not the way he operates.
I mean,
Peter can back me up on this.
I've showed stuff on here at the city hall meeting that they had with you, and I've talked about Crowley at times on here and everything else. Isn't that, in the ledger, they try and, the ledger slants it towards Crowley and Phelan. Let's face it. I mean, you read it, you know it. Okay. The simple fact is, you've been screaming about this, all right, and there's been a divide there amongst people saying, well, maybe it's just, they don't just like authority, this, that, and the other thing, and then other people say, well, I knew the chief for a long time and he wasn't the nicest guy, this, that, and the other thing. But so in fact, this proves what you were saying is right. Not because you're sitting here, but it proves that what you were saying was right. Where's Jay Davis now? I want to ask you a question, Bruce. Has Jay Davis called you?
Absolutely not.
Huh? Have you gotten a call from Jay Davis saying, hey, I think you were right? He was a web swab or something,
What it comes down to, when all is said and done, the chief of the Quincy Police Department used his position as the chief of police to commit a crime. And what I charge the chief with is allowing an unlicensed person to operate a motor vehicle. That is a crime. He can do a year in the House of Correction for that. So he used his office to commit a crime. It's public corruption. Call it what it is.
If he's been, shouldn't he have been, had his license suspended? Shouldn't he have turned in his service weapon? Shouldn't he be out on
Paid administrative leave.
administrative leave? Shouldn't he?
That's exactly what has happened.
Isn't that what happened to the cop that drove without the license?
Yes, he was suspended. His gun was taken.
Yeah. And yet this guy let him do it, and nothing's happened to him so far?
Nope, nothing.
Don, I'd like to say that it's been overlooked. There's two victims in here in this incident, and the Quincy Police Superior Officers Association should be as outraged as we are because their sergeant was set up.
Sure he was.
But this sergeant has a great deal of integrity, and he wanted to do the right thing. He couldn't go through with this charade, and that's what it was. Couldn't go through with it. He has character. At the moment of truth, he did the right thing, but he easily could have been set up in this. And it's not just Officer O'Brien. There's two victims here. And, we felt like a voice in the wilderness for the last 3 or 4 years. And now it's finally, and the beauty of it is, when we've talked about it, he's done it to himself. He's illustrated what we've been saying, what we've been going to the council about. And finally, we feel a bit of vindication. Not that we wanted this to happen,
Right.
but we've been saying it now for 3 years.
I can't say this emphatically enough. We cannot work for this man anymore.
No.
This is the last straw. He's setting us up to be arrested. If he's going to treat a member of his own police department that way, how is he treating the public?
Oh, exactly. I mean, let me ask you something, again, not knowing that much about the law. Could people go back on times that he's arrested people and say, I told you this guy lied? And
Sure.
they could.
Yeah.
People that maybe even been sent to jail.
This type of behavior calls into question his core integrity, and he has none.
In his judgment.
And his judgment. He has neither integrity nor judgment.
There has been a culture of